All right, let's take some calls and comments on an open forum about the material contained yesterday in the Miami Herald, which proves you out and proves me out. And we were very, very positively treated yesterday in the Herald, ladies and gentlemen. We were totally and completely vindicated. And Mr. Whitehead, in his retraction column, apologizes to you, so you no longer have to call in here as ugly Americans anymore. I even had some checks for the Afghanistan fund, which were signed by the name, and then underneath they put Ugly American on their check. So let's take some calls and see what's on your mind this afternoon. Stan Major.
Hey, Stan?
Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm a regular listener. I don't think I'm considered a regular caller because I call about every other week or every so often.
Yeah, what's on your mind, sir?
Okay, three quick things. I remember you had some sex shows, peer pressure in schools about the children doing with their peer. I have a funny feeling there's a lot of Cubans that are against what's going on, but account of peer pressure, they can't actually come out and say, hey, I think this is wrong, because in their own neighborhood, they would be ostracized. So I think a peer pressure is working in that extent there. Now, I do happen to know Manny Mendoza personally. I consider him a friend. And in 2 years, I have never heard him voice any political views. And as you and I definitely know, the Miami Herald has a very bad habit of misquoting or taking out of context a lot of statements. And since he's in the phone book, I was wondering if you would be interested in calling him and finding out really these statements are really from, because as long as I've known him, 2 years, though we don't talk politics, I understand this, because our level of communication is never than politics, but I have never heard him voice the kind of things that I just heard you repeat out of the paper. I have my Sunday paper. I haven't read it yet. I'm one of these guys who reads the paper maybe 2 days later. And so I was wondering if you would consider, I think he's a very nice gentleman. I don't know whether he's been misquoted or he actually feels like this, but I would, since my acquaintance with him has been over a 2-year period, at least once a week on a professional basis, we have never discussed Cuban politics, or in fact, he comes off to me a lot of times as very staunch, America first, America should be very strong. And some of the context I heard you repeating, which I haven't read myself, doesn't really sound like 100% what he would say. And I'm wondering whether, as usual, the Miami Herald has done their real hatchet job of taking a complete interview and paraphrasing certain things to fit into their questions. Do you understand what I'm saying, Dan?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, and I'd be delighted to talk to
I don't want to give
Mendoza.
his phone number over the phone. It's radio.
I'll put you on with Rick here, and he'll take your phone. He'll take the phone number. Okay.
Okay.
Hold on. That's line 1 there, Rick. Stan Major.
Oh, hello. Am I on?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I can't believe it. Okay. I have called. I am appalled at what is going on. I am a veteran. My husband is a veteran. I happen to be an RN. I served during the Korean War. My husband served during World War II. He's on the United States ship South Dakota. And both of us are very, very annoyed and very worried about our country. And I have telegraphed to Carter that why doesn't he stop this? Why are we bringing these people in? I cannot figure it out. Why we are taking in insane and or people from prisons into America. We have our problems. We don't need them. And they're making a fool out of us. We are the laughing stock all over the world. In Europe, they are making up cartoons about us, taking these people in. It's a disgrace, and why, I don't understand why somebody, I wish I could do it, I'm not a lawyer, but I am so fed up. Why doesn't someone do something, somewhere, somebody that loves our country, that did something for our country?
Okay, ma'am, okay. Now, you're awfully excited, and I want you to just relax for a minute, and I want you to listen to me, okay?
Yeah. I will very gladly, because you're the only telegraph station in our country who listens to people.
We're not a telegraph station. We're a radio station, lady. Okay, listen on your radio so that you will completely relax. You're too excited. I don't like generalized condemnations, which you just made. I don't like them about any particular group of people. and I don't appreciate you passing them on here on the air in all your excitement, but I know you are excited and upset by what's happening. But keep it calm and calm down. Like Paul Harvey likes to say, don't worry about it, nothing's going to turn out all right. All right, 2 points. First of all, it is true that we are getting some unsavory elements from Cuba. We don't really know what the percentage is. It's very difficult to tell. In yesterday's New York Times and the Sunday New York Times, there was a page 1 article about the 200 or 300 criminals that were placed on one boat by Castro's people yesterday, including some mentally retarded. Of course, we're getting the stories about this. We're hearing about this, and we're not hearing too much about the relatives anymore. I think they're still coming. What percentage of relatives are coming, I don't know. The total percentage of relatives, I think, is about 50% so far of the statistics that I've seen, which is not bad. At least we are getting something other than just the criminal element out. Point 2, I don't want to talk about federal court action because I've had my say on that. And I have been waiting, and I have been waiting, and I have been waiting. I don't know how many lawyers we have. If you go through the yellow pages under attorneys at law, you will find that there are more attorneys here than there are anything else. There are more attorneys in the yellow pages of the telephone directory than any other group of people. And I have heard from several saying, we're going to go into federal court tomorrow and seek an injunction to stop the flotilla. Well, balderdash. It hasn't happened. I don't know why. I haven't the slightest idea. But you see, the only way to force Castro to do this thing right is to stop the flotilla. As long as the flotilla continues, we'll be getting the criminals, we'll be getting the mental retarded, we'll be getting some relatives, we'll be getting the people from the Peruvian embassy, yes, but we're also going to be getting every single person out of Cuba that he doesn't want. Okay? The only way to do it correctly is to stop the flotilla first and then negotiate with Castro. But of all the attorneys that are listed in the phone book here, not one single attorney has gone into federal court to seek an injunction to stop the flotilla, to my knowledge. Stan, Major.
Stan?
Yeah.
How you doing? I hope you're having a nice day. Listening to your radio show. I got home early from work this morning, this afternoon, I should say. Calling from Miami Springs, and I have just received a letter from the Department of State, Washington, D.C., and this one fits in good. I'm going to mail a copy to the station. And it says, yep, thank you for your communication to President Carter concerning the plight of the Cuban refugees, et cetera. Now, rather than reading the whole thing, let me just read a paragraph, okay? Would that be acceptable?
Go ahead, I'm waiting.
Okay. Now, this is going down the bottom. Cuba now seeks to dictate not only who will be permitted to leave, but their means of transportation and ultimate destination as well. No, and mark these words now, no responsible nation could accept terms Cuba has sought to impose unless adequate provision is made for orderly processing of individual refugees. There is no means of determining whether they meet family reunification or other criteria, which is misspelled. We believe it is important not to create an exception to the enforcement of the United States law in the face of difficult, which missing a verb, situation in Cuba. A situation fully separated, which is...
All right, sir, you're going to have to, it's too complicated. You're going to have to send me a copy of it. I'll be delighted to comment on it.
Just a final one.
I said send me a copy of it, sir, okay? Thank you very much. I think the guy had a couple of toddies on the way home also. He was having difficulty with the English language himself. Let's come right back after this commercial break. I have a line open in Miami, 667-9697. A line open in South Day, 922-9697. And as always, the Palm Beach line is dead. 734-9697 if living, moving, breathing creatures are in the Palm Beach area. You have a line available down here, 734-9697. We'll be right back on The Nice Guy on the Radio. Stan Major on W News Miami. All right, let's continue with your calls. Stan Major. Hello?
Oh, Stan?
Yes, sir.
These big herd skippers are bringing the aliens over, you know. You think that they'd be above bringing a lot of contraband mixing that boat someplace? The Customs doesn't search them very well, if at all, in this big rush.
No, sir, they can't get anything off the boats except the people. By the way, that one particular boat I was talking about, really what Castro's militiamen were trying to do was to overload it, which they did by about 200 people, hoping that it would sink. Simply because it was named America. They overloaded the boat, and they put a gunboat behind it, and they forced it to leave Mariel. And I'm sure they were hoping it would sink. The Coast Guard got out there in time to take a couple of hundred people off of that particular boat so that it did not sink. But I'm sure that was what the Cuban militiamen were trying to achieve. I have two lines available. One is in North Broward, one is in South Broward, 922-9697 or 427-7979, whichever line works for you. Stan Major. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, can I speak to what's the state?
Ma'am, get your head straightened out, call back, and we'll be delighted to talk to you, okay? Hello?
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I have a couple comments I'd like to make. Not on this Cuban refugee, but certain things. One, I liked the song that Neil Rogers played the other night about the Ode to Carter. I thought it was very appropriate. And the other is, I have a complaint about Mr. Stu Rogers.
Pardon me?
Sir? I mean, Neil Rogers.
Well, then you call Neil Rogers, okay? Let me give out the telephone numbers. We have several empty lines, and for some reason we can't get an open forum rolling this evening. It's been about 45 minutes, and we've had one or two decent calls. If you would like to participate, this is your opportunity. The telephone number in Miami or Dade County is 667-9697. All the lines from Broward are available. The North Broward line is 427-7979, and the South Broward line is 922-9697. or 922-WNWS on your radio. If you will call it right now, we'll get you on the air fairly quickly here. We'll have another open forum this evening from 6 until 8 p.m. on W News. Stan Major.
Oh, Stan?
Yeah.
Hey, you said first of the program you would like to have people that hadn't called in before. Well, I never called before, but I'm going to start calling more. What I want to talk about is the situation in Afghanistan. Those rebels in Afghanistan are the same brand of Muslim fundamentalists that are holding our people in...
No, sir.
Yeah, they are.
No, sir.
Yeah, see?
No, sir. Now, you probably are not familiar with the guest I've had on from Afghanistan, are you? Have you heard our programs with him?
I didn't hear that.
Well, you don't know what you're talking about. I have had a guest here from Afghanistan, a young man who 7 weeks ago was fighting Russian troops, which is the important thing, in the mountains of Afghanistan. We have raised $5,054 to help this young man buy food and buy weapons and buy ammunition. Now, before you call in here and start knocking him, you better realize that a lot of people in this area, sir, have sent in $5 and $10 and $20, and some of them have sent in $200 and $300 checks to this man. Now, the religious angle was brought up on the very first program that he was on with me, and he answered that. I cannot sit here and answer it for him. That is not the important thing. How many people in the world right now are stopping communism with bullets, sir?
Well, I'll tell you, Stan, I think those people are misled because everything I've heard is to the contrary. There was a thing in the Herald that on Sunday, you have to go way to the back of the paper and get those back sections and the back pages to get the real news. But there was this article about this Turkish imam of West Berlin that's a real Muslim fundamentalist, and he's a
Sir, you could care less about what I'm saying, couldn't you?
Well, I'm just trying to tell you my side of it. I mean...
Well, what do you mean, your side of it? You don't have a side. You don't even have anything to discuss on the air. You're wasting my time, and you're wasting about 20,000 people's time.
I'm not wasting their time. It's helping them, man. They shouldn't be sending money. They should be sending money to the other side. They should support the government, not the daggone Muslim fundamentalists.
Are you a communist, sir?
Who, me?
Are you a communist?
Am I a communist?
Yes. I haven't heard from a real dyed-in-the-wool communist in a couple of weeks. You support the Russian invasion of Afghanistan, then?
Well, I think they had. Well, sure. I mean, I don't see why they shouldn't. If we had a situation like that on our borders.
Do you also support Fidel Castro, sir?
Well, let me tell you a little story about that.
No, you just answer the question. Do you support Fidel Castro and his communist revolution?
Well, I can't explain it without explaining what I was going to say.
No, you can answer it yes, because that's what you're aiming for.
All right, then, yes.
Okay, fine. Thank you very much. Hello?
Hello, Stan.
Yes.
This is my first time calling the radio. I'd like to make two brief observations.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. First of all, the discussion of your NWS talk show at the Miami Commission meeting the other day, didn't it appear on the supplementary agenda as a discussion? I'm not aware that the discussion ensued, you know. I know the mayor stood there and compared you to Goebbels and a lot of stuff, but I'm not aware that
No, well, there was no discussion as such. It was on the agenda. He made his statement, and that was it.
I see. I'm wondering if that's the way many important matters respecting Dade County was discussed, you know, discussed in commerce, you know.
Well, we were not invited. Nobody was informed that that was going to happen. We had to find out about it through sources.
I see. Okay, and another point, too. You know, you have been advocating, you know, in respect to the Cuban people, is what people do every day, you know, in their normal family life. It's like operating the county in microcosm, you know. People plan their family. People don't go about and reproduce indiscriminately. And that's all we're asking in Dade County, that Dade County has a chance to plan how many we want to take in. We want a quota, you know, and not just give us everybody indiscriminately. Give us a quota, give those a chance to assimilate and be absorbed in the community, and then we take some more. But just don't give us everybody and swamp us like that. And that is what your detractors haven't been able to come to grips with. All you have been saying is give us a chance to plan how many we can take, and when they have been assimilated, we may be able to take some more. But just don't swamp us right now.
Well, we're not being swamped in any way, shape, or form, sir.
Yeah, I mean, with so many coming in.
Sir, if you would read the statistics on the number that are coming to Miami compared to the numbers now that are being flown directly to Eglin Air Force Base and to Fort Chaffee, and the future numbers that will go up into Pennsylvania and one other area, you will see that we are not being swamped, okay?
Okay.
Sure, there are a lot coming in, okay? There's 40,000, 44,000, something like that. But there aren't 44,000 sitting over at the Orange Bowl, sir, and there aren't 44,000 out at Opelika, okay?
Okay.
Thank you very much. Stan Major.
Yes, I'm a student from Miami, and I'd just like to say that I think that you should be more sympathetic with the people that are coming in to the country. The Cubans, you know, we realize all the problems that are there, but I think that your opinions, the way that you face your opinions, you say that many of us don't have a stand, but I think we all have a stand, and our stand is that we should be more sympathetic to these Cubans that are coming in. A lot of people are upset about it in Miami, but we have to deal with the situation, because a lot of people came in at the beginning of the 20th century, and we were sympathetic then. The other countries did laugh at us in a way, and they wrote about how we were being overly sympathetic, taking in all the Cubans, all the other refugees from other countries. But I think that we have to at least think about it for a while and try to be more sympathetic and not just so harsh on the people just because they have to immigrate to our country.
Who's being harsh on the refugees?
Okay, the people in their basic opinions. So when I say the Cubans coming in, like the Cubans coming in, the way they say it, you should at least be.
You mean it bothers you to say the Cuban refugees that are coming into this country?
Well, we all have a negative attitude about it. It seems that the radio station in particular does have a negative attitude about it. We should try to be more positive in the way we feel about all this that's happening.
Well, how would you change Stan Major to make him positive, young lady?
Well, I don't know how to say you can. I'm not going to change you. I'm just going to try, just try to change the way that the station is. Like, we're not friendly to anyone that comes in. What about the people that are coming in from England and Germany? They just want to come here because it's a nice country. And we're the ones who say, in the Statue of Liberty, it says, we give you your poor, you're hungry, and you're needy.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Now, how old are you?
Me, I'm 17, but I feel that, I've had an education.
You have a lot to learn, young lady.
Well, maybe I have a lot to learn, but so we all do. None of us ever can stop learning. We all have a lot. You say that you said something about the person that goes to school, that he only went to Miami-Dade South. Well, that's more than a lot of people can say.
Oh, is that what really upset you, my comments about Miami-Dade South?
Well, maybe that did upset me in a little way.
Well, I'm sorry that the Herald couldn't find a more knowledgeable and a professor with a few more credentials than an associate professor with a Latin name at Miami-Dade South to quote on the front page of their newspaper.
Well, I'm American, and my mother goes to my FIU, and my opinions are based upon my family's opinions, and that's what I'm saying. I'm not going to try I speak for myself, and there's a lot of people, the school I went to, that feel the same way.
Well, the poll doesn't show you out, my friend.
Well, they don't.
And the people that have called this radio station don't prove you out either.
Well, I don't know what to say, but it's just one opinion. Even if we don't appear in the poll, we still have our own opinion about something.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Stan Major.
Yeah, am I on? Hello?
I wouldn't be talking to you if you were off,
I just
sir.
wanted to know because I get on and then if somebody else is on. But okay, Stan, what are those Cuban that are training to fight, to go back to Castro, to Cuba, and take over Cuba? Who's gonna welcome them back? There ain't gonna be nobody there to welcome them, are they? It's gonna be an effort that they're like wasting their time.
Yeah, sir, there'll be one or two people there.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, there'll be a Soviet brigade there also, sir.
Yeah, I wanted to ask another thing.
I'm sure you
talk
do.
to a lot of people, and they always say, well, with the mess we're in, Reagan can't do nothing. Carter's there already. I told him, I said, you got to be crazy. I says, if a man is doing nothing to help and it's getting worse, what do you want to stay with it? Try somebody else. He says, yeah, but it can get worse. How worse can it get? I don't understand some people. They don't...
Don't worry about it, sir. Nothing's going to turn out all right, okay? Let's take a commercial break, and we'll be right back. The nice guy on the radio. And our telephone numbers in Miami, 667-9697, in Palm Beach, 734-9697. On Stan Major Part 1 on W News, Miami. WNWS South Miami, Miami, 1 minute after 3 o'clock, and on with your calls on an open forum with Stan Major. Hello.
Hello, Mr. Major?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't want to talk about the refugees, but...
Talk about anything you want, my dear.
All right. First of all, good evening.
Good morning.
I'm concerned about this tricky situation we're getting in as to the Cubans attacking part of the Bahamian boat yesterday. I don't understand. I'm afraid that in a roundabout way, it's going to cause problems more worse for the United States. It's a very, very tricky situation, and Castro seem to be pulling all kinds of strings and laughing and doing things that will irritate the United States, and knowing that if we make a move, it's going to cause more problems. So I think he's sitting there, really, really getting away with murder. And what I want to know, is there anything that the United States, the government people can do to stop this before it get out of hand? Because it's very scary to me.
Well, I think that the incident in the Bahamas was simply an isolated incident, and although there was too much force used, I don't believe it's going to be repeated. They've had a real war going on, and I don't mean war in the proper sense, but a mini war with regard to the fishing rights between Cuba and the Bahamas for some time.
Right.
The Cuban fighter pilots responded with too much force, and an apology has been accepted by Mr. Pendling from the Cubans, and I think that'll take care of that. I don't think it's really that big a deal.
Well, I don't know. He's been doing such things lately. I think all this is more...
Well, you've heard what I've advocated,
yes,
which
sir.
Isn't going to come to pass. I advocate all kinds of action with regard to Fidel Castro, and nobody's going to do anything about it as long as the whimp's in there. Now, if we elect Ronald Reagan, he says he favors a naval flotilla to blockade Cuba.
Well, I don't like Mr. Reagan. I know what he has said. I don't like him. I know that...
Well, then you go back and vote for Jimmy Carter, and you'll get four more years of Fidel Castro pulling our strings, okay?
Like Mr. Carter, I have been for him, but I wish that Mr. Anderson was capable, was able...
Well, I'm not sure that John would do any better with regard to the Caribbean than Carter has, okay?
Well,
Thank you very much for your call. Stan Major?
Hello, Stan.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. First of all, congratulations on your Afghanistan campaign. I think it's... I wish you will pick up more.
Thank you, sir.
You're doing a great job on it, okay?
Thank you.
And I will send my contribution to it. I'm calling, if I agree with you, sometimes with the radio we have disagree. Thank God we have never got emotional over it. But I think this whole story about the Bahamian incident that actually happened Saturday. It was not yesterday, it happened Saturday, came to light yesterday. It's going to develop into something just a little more fisherman poaching in the Bahamas. I have very, very strong information and sort of veridic information that the two boats, which are called ferro cement boats, because what they call the fishing platforms, that have been bugging the Bahamas for years now, and from the fisheries of Cuba, were really running away from the port of Cay Barien, north coast of Cuba, trying to seek asylum or trying to find one of these U.S. naval-based vessels that are running in the straits. And I hope, I might be wrong, but I think pretty soon on your next news broadcast or before the day is over, you're going to find out that the reason that the planes went out and strictly try to hit these people out is the fact that they knew from the beginning that these people were running away. But this is besides the point. It's just one more incident, and just to bring out another point, I think you've made it on the radio many times, and I think whoever has a reasonable, healthy mind can understand it, is that he keeps doing whatever he wants, Stan. The bird one keeps ruling the seas and the air and the boats and who comes and who goes, and sure hope something is done about it, my friend.
Okay.
We're in bad shape.
I'm with you.
Thank you.
You know that. Thank you. Thank you. I have come out stronger anti-Castro than any politician that I've heard speak. I have come out for all kinds of things with regard to Mr. Castro, and nobody can fault me there. There isn't a Cuban exile, there isn't a Cuban refugee, there isn't a Cuban American, there isn't an American of Cuban heritage. There isn't one single person in this area who can say that Stan Major has minced words with regard to Fidel Castro. I have done everything but say in Goldwater fashion that we ought to bomb him. I'll leave that to Wichner. We'll take another commercial break, and we'll be right back on W News Miami. There are those of you who may have been listening to the program on Saturday when I received in the mail a copy of an article from a local newspaper printed in the Spanish language called Panorama. And I wondered at that time, after the blood-red headlines 2 inches high, which called me a bad American, I wondered out loud what the article said. We have an unofficial interpretation of it now. Our ace bilingualist, my producer Rick, has gone through it, and let me deal with it here for just a couple of minutes, because I want you to know the type of thing that the First Amendment protects in this country, and that's the reason I can say what I want to say, and that's the reason this particular newspaper can say what it wants to say. But it doesn't want me to say anything anymore, ladies and gentlemen. It wants to print, but it wants me to shut up. And that's what would happen in a banana republic, where I'm sure this newspaper would thrive as long as it printed what the government wanted it to print. When it no longer printed what the head of the banana republic wanted, then this editor would be in jail along with Stan Major. Quote, as the Sun Sentinel's columnist Charlie Reese says, there are people who do not like Cubans, do not like blacks, do not like Indians. There are people who do not like anyone. End of quote. This is the case with you, meaning me. By the way, my name was misspelled. It was spelled Stan, M-A-G-E-R, throughout the whole column. This is the case with you who instigate through W News, opening the microphones to irresponsible Anglo listeners who pour insults against the Cuban community. In other words, not only does it want me shut up, it wants my callers shut up. Irresponsible Anglo listeners who pour insults against the Cuban community. The station, which should be using its time to serve the community and its vital interests, is instead whipping up hate and trying to play one faction of the community against another in a manner fitting only for sick mentalities and people of bad intention. What are your intentions at inflaming the most retrograde anti-Cuban sentiments of your listeners, injecting them with the poison of miscomprehension towards our suffering people? It is worth mentioning the positive outlook of Governor Graham, Senator Stone, Representatives Faisal, Lehman, the Florida House, and the Miami and Hialeah city councils that have cited support for the cause of Cubans. In any case, can you deny, meaning me, can you deny your background as an immigrant? Tell us, please, what tribe do you belong to? Is it your hope that there will be a confrontation of tremendous proportions in our community with you at the head, acting the part of court jester? Is it that you and your followers want to pour into the streets, bringing forth the cross of the KKK? You and only you will be responsible for what may happen in our, to the moment, peaceful community, since it is you who have brought forth the acts of war instead of flying the white flag of compassion. Recently, Metro Mayor Clark, Miami Mayor Ferre, Lester Freeman, President of the Council of American Commerce of the county, and South Florida Coordinator Council met with the intention of taking some measure to stop the state of violence that you have generated. In fact, they dealt with the possibility of the FCC canceling WNWS's license. And what was your reaction? You opened the microphones to hate and hysteria, leading to disorder and anarchy. This radio station, if it wished, could start a civil war. We think, Mr. Major, as do some Anglos, that you are on the brink of delirium, and only the intervention of the FCC will set you right. In other words, if you replace the term FCC in this and replace the term government, then you're talking in a banana republic mentality as far as this column is concerned. In other words, the government should shut me up and it should shut my listeners up. And finally, your provocative activities, irresponsible statements, and inhuman remarks only to serve to prove to both Anglos and Cubans who have lived in peace side by side for 21 years that behind you are interests that wish to fan the flames of anti-Cubanism. In this story, we will not deal with the great benefit to the U.S. that this most recent influx represents. We will leave that to the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal. With my great respect for your sacred right to express your opinion freely in a free country, I ask you, please do it rationally. Well, isn't that interesting? In the last paragraph, the columnist has contradicted everything that he said in the previous portion of the column. Thank you, Rick. I know that took some time on your part, and I appreciate it. It's a very good translation. I really don't have any comment. I wouldn't dignify the man as somebody said about me recently. I wouldn't dignify him by talking about him. Hello?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I heard something in the past few weeks, and just recently well, I don't know how true this is, but I've got this friend of mine down in South Miami, and he says that he's got some friends that are Cubans that went on down.
Yeah, I got some friends that are Indians, and they told me a long time ago, you know, fella, that the British folks came over here, and they actually shot at Indians and killed them because they looked different and they were frightened by them. And I know a friend who read a book once about a guy named Custer, and the Indians got back at him. Stand, Major. Hello?
Mr. Major?
Yes.
Let me just tell you that you have the worst manners in the world.
Thank you.
And you have a way of twisting the good things that people say, and you make them bad.
Okay. Anything else?
Well, I'd say it over the radio, but it's censored.
What's censored?
What I'd have to say.
Well, it wouldn't be censored unless it was obscene.
That's right.
I assume you're finished then.
No.
I'll go on to somebody who has something to say. Hello?
Hello?
One of our really intelligent callers, friends.
Hello?
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I've been trying to call your station for the past few weeks, and I'm glad that I've never got to do it until today. To be honest with myself, I have to say that I have not seen you or any one of your colleagues there say something about the Cuban community that could be detriment or could be a racist statement or something like that. I think you treat everybody much of the same. And if someone calls from the Anglo community and starts saying things that are not true, you just cut them up as well as you do. You cut the Spanish-speaking people. That I have to say for yourself. I'd like to try to put something positive into all this problem and make people realize that our real enemy, it's Castro. That's the one that's really creating all this problem. It's turning the community apart. He's trying to bring people here that are not desirable for this type of community. And he's the one that we should really go after. You are also right when you say about the politicians. I have heard Senator Stone talk to the Spanish community and talk to the Anglo community, and the emphasis of what he'll say to the Spanish community will be entirely different to the emphasis that we'll say to the English community. So,
well, that's nothing new in politics, sir.
Well, you know, it's just that some people are not aware, but I can, you know, speak both languages, and I have heard this man put emphasis on one side and then change the whole thing, you know, when we talk to the other side. What I'm trying to say is that sometimes we, the Cubans, the Cuban Americans, are not at fault for what's going on here. We have been incited by maybe perhaps politicians that are trying to stay where they are. They don't want to risk their neck and say the truth. Most of us are sure and believe that this situation with the Cuban flotilla is completely out of control. The government, the federal government, doesn't have any idea of how to stop this or doesn't have any plans to end this situation at all. And sometimes we feel the same way.
Well, I'll tell you, my friend, if the Cuban Americans who continue to pay $1,000 a head or some ridiculous amount of money to get not their relatives out, but criminals out of Cuba, if they would stop footing the bill, Castro would have to come up with another scheme.
I know. I agree with you on that, but...
So, to a certain extent, there is a responsibility down there in Key West And I know that they're getting a few relatives out now, but I don't know what the percentages have been the past week or so.
He's playing with feelings, you know. You cannot blame people. He's playing...
No, I can't blame them at all, and as long as...
You know, Castro comes up with a plan, and then our government, our federal government, gets in a meeting for a week to come up with an answer for that plan, and when they have an answer, he already changed the whole operation as something different. So they're always behind Castro. They're never one step ahead of him. Unfortunately, that's the way that I see it, you know. And
well, unfortunately, you're absolutely right.
And, you know, I think that we should...
I'm tired of being Castro's puppet.
Right. We should concentrate on, you know, Castro is our enemy, and instead of bringing 10 million people here, why don't we just get the one man that we have to get out of there? That's what we should concentrate on. And, you know, try to keep, you know, this community in peace. What's happening, I don't think it's fault, you know, it's our fault or it's your fault, and I realize how many people feel, and I don't blame them. I don't blame them at all how they feel, because they have reasons to feel, you know, be scared or be worried about what is going to happen.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your call.
Way, okay?
Thank you. Stan Major.
Hello.
Yes.
Yes, I'd like to ask two questions if someone would answer for me, please. I've often heard the expression Cuban Americans, American Cubans. I'm not against the people coming over here for a better life. Everyone comes here for a better life. But what I would like somebody to answer, some people that are coming here at the present time, if conditions improve in Cuba and the communists are overthrown, would they go back there? And the second question, you probably could answer this. In your case where you advocate lawyers should go ahead and sue the government, isn't it a fact that most television, radio stations do go into court, bring their own lawyers if you advocate that to stop this influx?
No, that's not the responsibility of somebody in my position, sir. I don't see why I should have to shoulder that responsibility.
Well, you say you shouldn't, but you do advocate this.
We get involved in First Amendment conflicts with the court and with public officials. That's what we get involved with, sir. That's what our lawyers are involved with.
You know, if you've ever read any books on revolutions, you've always seen there's a little group always behind the scene that advocates things, but they're never in front. But when things are turned over, they're
Sir,
up.
I am not in a position to get directly involved in the Cuban refugee situation. I've got a job to do here. That's my paramount responsibility. There are a lot of other people who, first of all, have a lot more time, second of all, are lawyers, and third of all, have money or have clients that can do this kind of thing. I have none of those.
Is your management of your...
Sir, I told you, it is not the responsibility of this station to take that kind of action.
Mm-hmm. Well, I
don't see the Miami Herald doing that kind of thing, do you?
I seen the Miami Herald going to court when they refused.
Well, right. That's a First Amendment question, sir. It's what I just explained to you. If there is a First Amendment situation, we will go to court. There's no First Amendment conflict here.
But you're saying we're breaking the law by doing that.
Sir, you're not... I know you're an intelligent man. You know what I'm saying. I've said it. I've made my statement, and that's it. You got anything else you want to talk about?
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Anything to bait me, anything to upset me, for crying out loud. 500 to 2,000 lawyers listed in the Yellow Pages, and this guy thinks I ought to go to court. Hello?
Hi, Stan.
Yeah.
All I can say is that it's wonderful that you have a station like you're doing. People can open their hearts out to you about what's happening here in Florida. I don't know where else they can turn to. Nobody else seems to want to listen to everything that's going on. Today in the Fort Lauderdale News, they quoted Castro as saying that he's going to send 8,000 more of this scum to the United States, meaning the prisoners and the mental patients.
Well, it wasn't Castro. It was a militiaman in Mario, ma'am.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah.
I mean, what are we supposed to do about all of this?
I don't know, ma'am. Golly gee, shucks, you're asking me that question again, and I've given the answer already. But nothing's happening, okay?
Okay.
I guess all you can do is just call in on the show and take your frustrations out. Stan Major.
Mr. Major?
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to ask just one question. about the undesirables that the FBI are holding, and they're going to hold them in Alabama jail. Is that it? Why can't they be deported? For example, they picked up a hijacker recently, I think yesterday, that several years ago hijacked the National Airlines plane to Cuba. Now, does he have to be held here? Why can't he be deported?
Where are we going to deport him?
Huh?
Where are we going to send him?
Well, I don't know. I'm asking you. I don't know.
Well, you got to have a place to send him. Cuba's not going to take him back.
Uh-huh.
So we have a problem, don't we?
Yeah, we'll feed his prisoners instead of Castro feeding them. Okay.
Hey, ma'am, you just wised up to what good old Fidel's doing.
Yeah, well,
How
I
about
didn't
that?
wise up. I know what he's doing.
Okay.
But I just couldn't understand. I don't know the law that well. You probably know it much better than I do. And that's why I'm asking you.
Yes, ma'am, I just explained it. If you're going to deport somebody who has come to this country illegally, the normal thing to do is to send them back where they came from.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah.
Thank you. Hello?
Hello?
Yes.
Hi, Stan.
Hi.
Oh, what's your last name? I should call you Mister.
Call me anything you'd like as long as it isn't obscene.
You've been doing a great job so far. In my family, there are many different languages spoken. Norwegian, Russian, and French are just a few. I wonder if the Cuban leaders who will insist on bilingualism are sensible enough to look at Montreal.
That all?
Do they have any sense?
I don't understand the point you're trying to make. Are you trying to draw a parallel between Dade County and the bilingual situation here and Quebec?
Yes, in Quebec it's terrible. They're always fighting each other.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Hello?
Hello?
Yes.
Dan Major?
Yeah.
Stanley? Stanley, the people who call you rude, they are the rude ones, okay? And I would like them to know this, although they're probably too thick-skinned to realize it. And I wanted to talk about this word Anglo, since when were Americans Anglos? I am an Anglo. I'm born in London. You are Americans. And those who publicly renounce their native country to become American citizens, let them call themselves Americans. And, well, if somebody asks them, what country are you from? Let them say. But all over the globe, South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, Japan, I don't have to tell you, citizens of the United States are known as Americans, Stanley.
Yes, ma'am.
And, did you get my point?
Yes, ma'am, and I don't particularly care to be called by the name that my mother gave me and used on me for her entire life. Thank you very much for your call. Hello?
Hello,
Yeah?
Stan.
Yeah, you calling back, sir?
The woman that was complaining...
Yeah, call me in a couple of weeks, sir. That guy called in already on the same line. Call me once a week on one program, sir. Otherwise, leave the phones alone so somebody else can get in, all right? Tired of hearing your voice. Take another commercial break and we'll be right back on W News, Miami. Hello?
Hello, Sam?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Listen, about that incident, what really is irksome about it is that they talk about the gunboat being mistaken, but nothing is ever mentioned of the sustained attack on the tiny out-island settlement 2 hours later, for 2 hours a day later. I don't see anywhere in the world where there could have been a mistaken identity involved. I think it was a vicious and deliberate attack by Castro.
Well, what's been going over there? Are you in Nassau?
Yes, I'm in Nassau.
What's been going on in Nassau today?
Well, the entire city is upset over the matter. We're not a very vocal people, but we have been, quite upset over the incident.
Are your officials meeting with regard to this, and you think anything's going to come out of it?
I I don't know. We seem to have a press-shy kind of government, you know, on matters like this. I mean, it took us a day and, about 6 or 7 hours to hear what had happened. In fact, the first time I heard of the incident, I was listening to your program.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, listen, thank you very much. We're on what we call our auxiliary transmitter, and I don't think we're getting in there as well as we normally do.
Yeah. Well, Stan, before I sign off, I just want to say once again, I think Castro ought to be condemned for such a vicious attack on a defenseless country.
I think he should be condemned by the whole world for a heck of a lot of things.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your call.
Bye-bye.
Stan Major. Hello.
Hello.
Are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, you're on the air, ma'am.
I'm calling from the Bahamas.
Uh-huh.
I'm calling about the incident happened in the Bahamas there last night. For instance, I don't really think that it is a mistake. I think what happened, Castro is really, he's afraid, you know, and he don't really know what to do. And he's picking on the little settlement, the little island there, but no, they really can't can't defend themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's wrong. You know? We're trying to be a friendly nation because we are an independent nation. And we don't have anything really. You know, and I think it's bad. You know?
Okay.
I think it's bad for him to really start things like that.
Well, what do you think your government should do about it?
Well, for instance, I think the government should really let them pay for the damage they have done and pay compensation to those fellas' parents, you know, because it's bad. They all are poor people. You understand?
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Andros.
Andros.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Stan Major.
Hello, this is, I'm calling from Nassau.
Uh-huh.
The way I feel about it was that, when I first heard it, I couldn't believe it because, we really don't do anything we don't attack any country or anything like that. So I thought that it was, you know, an unfortunate situation. And, I hope that it works out. I mean, we have never attacked any country, and to do something like this, I think is terrible.
You think it was a mistake, or do you think it was on purpose?
No, I think that they deliberately did that.
Uh-huh.
I mean, why? See, in our history, we have never attacked any country whatsoever.
Do you think they just...
We don't... we literally sit down here in the Bahamas and mind our own business. And what I heard was that they came over, the Cuban fishermen on the boat, radio for help, and they bombed us. And I mean, the flag was there, the Bahamian flag was there. And what pirate ships? I mean, that's centuries ago. You don't have that kind of stuff. And then, if that was a mistake, why terrorize the people on Ragged Island?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can't see any reason. It really doesn't work out. I mean,
It doesn't make much sense.
No, it doesn't. And I mean, to lie to us and tell us it's a mistake, we're sorry, that is not enough.
Uh-huh. Were there any people hurt in the strafing?
I think 4 of the guys, they can't find their bodies. But those guys, 21, 3 of them was 21, and the other one was 23. And I mean, we don't have any military get-together whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
And any time the Miami Herald, any newspaper said that we're soldiers, we have soldiers, I usually laugh because all we have is a few shotguns. And we sit down here, we're friendly with everybody. We don't have any hatred to say towards anybody. I mean, there's no point in hating anybody. And to attack us and do something like that, I think is terrible.
Well, it's not a way to gain friends, I'll guarantee you that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice to hear from you. Bye. Stand Major.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is Floyd McDonald calling from the Bahamas.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. The way it is, is take advantage of us, because we don't have any military power.
Uh-huh. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, they just take advantage because we don't have any military power, We're a small group of islands, Cubans just come in and bomb our fleet for nothing, Like the way they take is taking advantage of the Indian people.
Well, what do you think your government should do about it?
Actually, we hardly can't do anything, Because after we become independent in 1973, we break off from Great Britain, but we're still a member of the Commonwealth.
Uh-huh.
But, actually, our country is just, financially small. Pretty small, only over 20,000 people. Cuba's army over larger than 20,000 people, not just our population.
How about the British government sending a few planes in for a while? What would you think of that?
All we want them to do is to safeguard our waters.
Just a little friendly visit, maybe for a couple of weeks.
Like one our main industry is Bahamas is fishing. And we can't protect our own waters. Jesus Christ, who can protect it?
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stan Major. Hello.
Hello, Stan?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, calling from Nassau, Bahamas.
Uh-huh.
On this incident with this patrol vessel, I don't think that there was a mistake in that. I don't think that they could have done more mistake in that patrol vessel for a pirate ship than you could have mistaken the Coast Guard cutter Diligence for the Mark III. I think it was a purposely done thing. And
well, what would be his point in the whole thing, sir?
I don't know.
See, that's what confuses me. I don't understand what Castro is going to gain by it. If he's just showing off his military might, well, everybody knows he's got that.
Well, they're playing with MiGs, and I understood some time ago when he got them, they were for defense purposes. But to just run over a small town with about 200 people at treetop level, plus the fact that he had killed 4 men, is pretty ridiculous, if you follow what I mean.
Well, I think he's very lucky that he picked on your government to do it, because I think he feels pretty safe.
Yeah, I realize this. I would say that this is the reason.
I'll tell you, if I was Pendling, I know what I would do.
Well, I'd back him in anything that he does. It's sad that we don't have anything to probably retaliate the proper or very well. But I certainly wouldn't stop bringing in them fishermen if they come into our waters. Because fishing is about one of the few things that we have down in this country. I think someday Castro will be put in his place.
Boy, I hope so.
And I thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much for your call.
Right.
We're taking collect calls from the Bahamas for the next 15 minutes. We are on an auxiliary transmitter, I understand, and we may not be getting into the Bahamas as strong as we normally do at this hour, but we have been getting response, so we will press ahead. Let me give you the telephone numbers. You can pick up your phone in the Bahamas, any place in the Bahamas, hell, any place in the Caribbean, I don't care. Fidel, if you want to call me collect, I know you can't afford it, unless the Kremlin pays for it, but Fidel can call me collect here and give us his side of it. Our telephone number in Miami is area code 305, and the number to call is 667-9697. 667-9697. Should you get a busy signal, then tell your operator to try our other number, which is 922-9697. 922-9697. Collect calls from any place in the Caribbean. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, sir.
John, how are you?
Okay, where are you calling from, sir?
Nassau, Bahamas.
Uh-huh.
Yes, well, I've been listening to your program over the past few weeks, especially on the Cuban situation. Now, I'm talking in particular about the incident which occurred yesterday and on Saturday. And certainly the people of the Bahamas, or most of them, are concerned about this. In fact, we're deeply concerned, owing to the fact that we don't have any defense treaties with, say, the U.S. or even Britain. Hello?
Yeah, I hear you, sir. Go ahead.
Yes. So we are deeply concerned, and I do feel that perhaps it may have initiated from the Kremlin,
that Castro is now trying to test and see what the USA will really do.
In other words, you think it is a test on Moscow's part to see whether or not there might be some kind of action taken by the Carter administration?
Or some action or response or some stern warning in connection with the attack on the Bahamas.
But you don't think that Mr. Pendling would go to Washington for help, do you?
Well, there could be a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that maybe they will have this aired in the UN and try and possibly get it Cuba condemned. But I am deeply concerned, and I think our government should move towards getting a defense treaty with either Britain or the United States of America.
I think everybody in the Caribbean and in Latin America should have some kind of defense treaty with some strong Western country, because Castro is promoting revolution in so many places right now that we're going to see terrible things happen in that area.
Well, I'm getting deeply concerned, and of course, I did say to someone, I did make this mention in the airport in Miami some time ago when I was over there in April, that I hope they're saving room for the Bahamians. Because we don't know. I'm getting afraid now because we have no defenses.
Yeah.
Now, the next thing that he may try, if he gets away with this, is to seize one of the islands, or the Key Lobos, or Key Sal, which is nearer to the Cuban coast. And then he might try to do that.
Well, then what would your government do? Would they just give it to him?
All they can do is right now talk and appeal to the emotions of the international world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Castro's really concerned about that.
Pardon?
I said Castro's really concerned about that.
Yes, I see.
Thank you for your call.
Thank you.
Nice to hear from you.
Bye.
Stan Major.
Go ahead, Mr. Mills.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Dennis Major.
How are you, sir?
And I listen to you. You say the station coming in the week and coming in loud and clear like it always do.
Very good. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Abaco.
Abaco.
Abaco, yeah, the bad place.
How are the Haitians, sir?
Bad people.
How are the Haitians?
Haitian, them, we ain't budget with them now. We got all the problem.
Uh-oh.
We got all the problem.
What's that?
Castro, Fidel.
Castro?
Fidel.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Are you getting your guns over there on Abaco?
This was my belief. If those planes would bust over those islands in a record island, if they'd have busted on Abaco, I believe one of them would have go down.
Really?
If we can die with dignity.
Somebody got a bazooka over there, have they?
I don't know what. all the government allow us out with a 12 gauge. Whichever we are, we'll fight.
Well, you can bring a MiG down with a 12 gauge.
Let us die with dignity.
Right.
Yeah, because this man, you know what happened? Castro, just like the man said just now, he stays in America. He figures like America is weak, and America will not fight. That's our closest neighbor. The Bahamas is close to America, and the Bahamas had a lot of tracking stations and things in the Bahamas, and she gave them up.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that America should have ever did that. And Castro trying to see how much territory he could get, and I believe that's what he's trying to do. See, later down, I believe he can come back again. And I believe Castro's biggest aim is to try to take the Bahamas, and he's trying to see whether America can do anything about it or not. If America got the bumps and is scared to use them, give them to us. I'll go return. I'll go and sign out that never come back. If I can drop the bomb, let me drop it. And then get rid of them people. Them people down there on that side there, at least Castro, I say. There's people to get rid of. You can't play around with the people like that.
Well, I don't think your prime minister would favor that.
Well, my prime minister better try to get some out of anybody. Because if he got something to face. You see, we're a small nation, and they Castro, they pick on a small nation like us, you know. That's what they do. They try to take over a small nation where they don't have the power. But we got man here in the Bahamas who got the heart. If we got the heart, all we got to do is out ammunition. And I don't think we'll back down.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye. Our friend from Abaco. Stan Major. Hello.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm Christine Hutchinson. I'm from Nassau.
How are you?
I'm fine. I think the attack on the Bahamas was deliberate.
Okay.
And I think it's probably a step by Castro to get at America. By attacking the Bahamas, who's right under America. He might be trying to make the Americans retaliate.
He might make the Americans do what?
Get the Americans into it.
Uh-huh. Well, ma'am, if he got the Americans into it, the way we're feeling about him right now, we just run him over.
Well, that's probably what he's trying to do, just to show off.
Mm-hmm.
He might probably be trying to start World War III.
Well, I don't know about that, but the whole thing is sure screwy. I can understand the MiGs attacking the boat, mistaking it, but I can't understand all the other stuff that went on over there.
I still can't see him attacking the boat.
Mm-hmm.
At least with 3 planes, just one little boat.
Well, Castro likes to kick people around. It's too bad there's nobody to kick him around.
But then why would he try to terrorize the people on the island?
Haven't any idea, ma'am. The whole thing is a mystery to me.
Yes, it is to everybody.
Okay, nice to hear from you.
All right.
Thank you. All right, we have about 5 more minutes to collect calls from the Bahamas and from the Caribbean. I assume that we get into other areas of the Caribbean other than the Bahamas, but we have a lot of listeners in the Bahamas. Hello.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
How do you do? All week I was listening to your program and sympathizing with Dade County that the Cubans coming in there. But today, our tiny nation is mourning. We have never had anything like this happen to us before, and heaven knows, I don't even think the cabinet knows what to do. Momentarily, I think the Prime Minister is in a meeting with some people from Cuba. But just what can compensate for this unwarranted and stupid attack on our young men and terrorizing the natives of one of our smaller islands? I really don't know what we should do, but something has to be done. If Castro wants to test his power, try it out against the Soviet Union, try it out against Iran. There are so many other places. But us, who have no military power whatsoever, why us?
Well, he won't pick on anybody that's as big as he is or bigger, you know.
After yesterday, I'm assured of that.
He's just like a little kid, and he's not going to take anybody on that's got any military might that could wipe him out.
I don't think he would. But we have some very brave men in the Bahamas, and what he did yesterday would not stop them. They would continue to patrol our waters no matter what. And somehow, some way, he will be stopped. But I am sure that he will pay for that patrol boat, and he will compensate those families. I can assure you of that. Thank you very much, and be receiving you loud and clear.
Where are you calling from?
Nassau, Bahamas.
Another Nassau. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Stan Major.
Hello?
Hello.
Am I on the air?
You're on the air, loud and clear.
I'm calling from Freeport, Grand Bahama.
Uh-huh.
And I don't think what those Cubans did to a little tiny boat in the Bahamas waters was right. I can't see 3 planes after one little boat. If you was in a situation like this, what would you think or do?
You mean if I'd been in the boat?
You know, if you were related to one of the people in the boat.
Oh, if I was related, I would be camping on the doorstep of the Prime Minister's house right now, demanding that something more be done than just accepting an apology.
We have some very brave men in the Bahamas, and I don't think they're going to stop just like that. They're going to continue until they, see that this Castro man is put away. And I don't think what they did yesterday or the day before was a mistake. Because if it was a mistake, why did they go and then terrorize people on Ragged Island? I mean, they are heartless.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay.
Nice to hear from you. Thank you. Okay, let's take a commercial break, and when we come back, we'll go to a regular open forum. Interesting calls from all over the Bahamas, Nassau, Freeport, Abaco, and one other place I forgot. Anyway, thank you very much, and we'll go to an open forum. Everybody can start calling in now, 667-9697 in Miami or Dade County. In South Broward, 922-9697. In North Broward, 427-7979. We'll be right back on W News Miami. Stan Major back. Let's go to an open forum. By the way, we are at the $5,054 mark. $5,054 on our Help Afghanistan fund. And I haven't even opened today's mail. So I thank you again from the bottom of my heart for that. That money will go to the rebels in Afghanistan to buy food and to buy ammunition to fight Soviet soldiers. Hello?
Good evening.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Major, I'm curious. Nobody has ever said anything about who those pilots were. Were they Russian or Cuban? Who was flying those planes?
Cuban, sir.
Yes, they were Cuban.
Yes, sir.
Nothing was said about disciplining those Cuban pilots?
Not yet.
Nothing yet. Nothing said about it. Well, let me tell you, you're talking to one of your greatest admirers. And I listened to that article that was translated from the Spanish that you had on part 1 today.
Mm-hmm.
It's apparent to me that what they're trying to tell you is do as I say, not as I do. They're trying to tell you to shut your mouth while they can open up theirs and tell you what they want and what they're thinking.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that was the redeeming feature of it was at the end of it where they agreed about the Amendment 1. And
yes, but the last paragraph contradicted everything they said before, sir.
Exactly. Well, they had no other choice, otherwise they would be shut up too.
I would challenge the editor of Panorama to put my statements in with regard to what action I would take against Fidel Castro in Cuba right now. That would really shake them up if he put that in.
They wouldn't dare.
They wouldn't dare put it in, sir,
They
because...
wouldn't dare. They're afraid of reprisal.
Okay, sir.
It's nice to talk to you.
Thank you.
You're a voice in the wilderness, but let's hear more of it.
Thank you very much, sir.
Right, bye-bye.
Thank you. Stan Major.
Hello, Stan.
Yeah.
I called you once before about President Carter and about starting impeachment process against this man. You more or less fluffed it off because it's kind of late now, between now and November.
Yeah, it's not worth spending time on, sir. Thank you. I'm going to fluff it off again, sir, okay? I'm going to get to an important call. Stan Major.
Hi, Stan.
Yeah.
I love you all. Anyhow, you know, while I was listening to you before, you know what I got the impression of? Castro as a mosquito who goes from one person to another, biting them and annoying them until somebody slaps it down or kills them. Personally, I think Castro is testing to see how far he can go before somebody's going to retaliate.
Well, he knows he has the world by the you-know-what right now. There isn't anybody going to do anything. The American government is not going to do anything. The Bahamian government can't do anything.
Right, and I think everything he's doing now is to get the United States involved. For some reason or other, apparently, he knows that we are we're unprepared for any real type of war. And I think he's trying to get us so damn mad that we're going to do something about it, which, of course, with Carter, we're not. But this is the feeling I have. He's like a mosquito who's waiting for somebody to slap him down.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you very much for your call. It could be part of the Kremlin's current attitude going into Afghanistan, shaking things up around the world, thinking that we have a rather lackluster person in the White House. Mr. Carter is, of course, a great appeaser, in my opinion, and he just isn't the kind of strong leader that we need at this junction when all kinds of things are coming down on our head and on our shoulders all around the world. And here we have Jimmy Carter, who can't even think a step ahead of the Kremlin and go to Tito's funeral. And boy, if that doesn't give you a true indication of how much they think and how much intelligence there is in the White House right now, I don't know what would. Stan Major.
Stan?
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that I'm very saddened and feel very bad for the families that are tormented in the Bahamas, and that I, as an American, really offer my condolences to them. I want to say one thing. I was watching public television yesterday afternoon, and it's amazing how the thought came to my mind about how history repeats itself. It showed the rise of the Third Reich in Germany and how Hitler gradually expanded into different countries who were didn't have no armies or didn't have anything. How in the parts of Czechoslovakia who were part of the German people lived in, the Czechs did not have, and how they voted him in. And I was just wondering, relating my mind to Fidel Castro, trying out in the Bahamas as his first little arm reaching out to take over all of South America. And I was just hoping that history does not repeat itself, and that maybe that we learn from the 40s and the 38s, and that maybe this country, and particularly Great Britain, who is, I think, morally still obligated to take care of the Bahamas, that will react, not in a military, but in a more stronger reaction. And I'm very saddened that our country has not taken, not even the time to really kind of go to Castro and tell Castro this is exactly what they think. These little reports coming out of, well, you committed an act. Why they did not present a strong protest or some kind of threat that they won't defend these people, even though they haven't got a treaty. They're only 35 miles from our shore, and we are really they're really too close to our shores. And they were basically in our waters because this 200-mile thing came out a couple of years ago. But before that, that was our waters, and we were defending those waters. And I don't see why we just cannot go back to that again.
Okay, thank you very much for your call. We'll take another commercial break and be back on an open forum. Neil Rogers is here, and we'll be with you from 8 until midnight. But until that time, the nice guy on the radio is here. Stan Major on W News, Miami. Oh, Gabe, you're something else. Hello.
Hi, Stan.
Hi.
Hi. I wanted to repeat something I said about 2 weeks ago. Plus, I want to talk about the Castro thing. First, I want to say I'm 14 and a half now, and I am looking forward not seeing Carter's name on the ballot in 4 years when I get to vote.
Good. I hope you're right.
Yeah. Well, it has to be because this is his second term that he'd be running for now. Okay, first of all, I wanted to say, well, one thing that, it's been proved that Castro himself is a puppet of Russia. And I feel what's happening in this whole Cuban crisis is he's sending over all these political prisoners who are against himself. And once they reach American shores and here for a while, they're going to retaliate against Castro. That's what I feel. And then Castro will have an excuse by saying that American citizens are coming to fight against him. And then somehow Russia will bring himself into it somehow. What do you feel about that?
Well, I think it depends on who's elected in November. I think if Ronald Reagan becomes president, I don't think Castro is going to mess with us very much. Mm-hmm. Because Reagan is the type of person who will send the Marines in and take care of him, okay?
Yeah. Also, I wanted to say that I was wondering, like, if you get the Bahamians, if WNWS reaches the Bahamians, I would think, why don't you possibly take Key West, for instance, and do you take Key West?
No, we don't get into the Keys very well. We go more toward the Bahamas.
And well, see, this man before, he said something that the Bahamian shores are only about 35 miles from our shore. Mm-hmm. I really don't understand Carter's point. If this is so close and happening, I don't understand why Carter can't, say anything. Mm-hmm. He's just scared. Everything he puts his hand on just falls apart, just crumbles in his hand.
Okay, hon, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Bye. I have a line open in Miami, 667-9697, on an open forum with Stan Major, the superstar of South Florida Talk Radio, and the North Fort Lauderdale line, North Broward, is open, 427-7979. Hello.
Colonel Major?
Yes, sir.
Hey, I'm glad to talk to you. I'm going to make mine short and brief. I'd just like to ask you, who's going to take care of all these two factions that's coming over here, and how they're going to feed them and take care of them? And I know it's going to take a lot of money, but where is the money coming from? Could you answer my short question?
Yes, sir. It's going to come from taxes, sir.
Taxes?
Taxes. T-A-X.
You better get ready then for
tax. Yes,
another
sir.
jolt, huh?
Who knows?
Oh, well, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you
me.
very much.
Okay.
If you read yesterday's Miami Herald of the Viewpoint section, you would see two articles. One by a senator whose name escapes me, who wrote an article with regard to the refugee situation, and the other was by Jim Hampton, our illustrious Let's Welcome All the Cubans in the World to Miami, editor of the Miami Herald. Hampton took a little trip to the Key West last weekend, by the way, and he didn't see any Cubans down there, so he came back and said that, we could handle all that we could take. A real thinker there, Hampton. You show the intelligence of the editorial people on the Miami Herald when you talk like that. Senator Warren Huddleston had an excellent article in the Miami Herald, and there was a little thing toward the end of that article that slipped by you, perhaps, but maybe you should go back and look at it, and that's a thing about local taxes might have to be raised to meet the obligation of all of this. Now, if Harry Wilson and George Schulte are listening, I'm sure they will be deathly excited by the fact that the Metro Commission may have to ask for a tax increase to pay for the refugee expenses that the federal government is not going to pick up. You go check that out. I tried to call Commissioner Rubin today, but was unable to get through to ask that very question to him. So, it's something to contemplate. Stan Major.
Mr. Mayor, I want to ask you a question. I'd like to know first why the Bahamians and the fishermen, the Cuban fishermen, didn't get away after the Bahamian boat was sunk. They had 4 people dead, and somehow they all got in the fishing boat, and everybody went to Bahamas. Now, it looks to me like those fishermen, they were trying to get away from Cuba, and they asked for help from the Bahamian government after they'd been followed by the planes from the Cuban planes. It's very strange that if 4 people, Bahamian people, got killed, and they only went 4 left. They had 2 Cuban fishermen boats, and both, one went away, and the other one, everybody got in one boat and went to the Bahamas. Nobody has said anything about the Cubans going back to Cuba. One of the fishermen went back to Cuba. Nothing. Everybody went to the Bahamas. It looks to me like all those Cubans, and that's the reason why Castro went ahead and sunk that Bahamian vessel.
Well, that could have been Ed. He may have been trying to make a point.
That's my opinion, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. By the way, this afternoon we had a call from a lady about the Iranian passport situation, and she mentioned the wrong country. The country that is being accused of selling passports to Iranians was not the country mentioned. It is a small country named Dominica. Stan Major. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Stan, I have to agree that this is a terrible thing that happened in the Bahamas, and I think that something ought to be done about it. But you know that this government won't do anything about it. Just as a little while back, all the fishing boats going out of here from Miami and stealing those poor people's lobsters right in their back door, and the government didn't do anything then, how can we expect them to do anything now?
Well, I think that the wimp in the White House had his one stroke of courage with the Iranian rescue mission, and I think that's all he'll have for 4 years, sir.
Right.
Okay.
I know that when they were stealing their lobsters over there, we were kind of making heroes out of these people. And when the man got his boy shot over there, we made a hero out of him. Not that he should have been put in jail for taking his son into those poor people's waters, but this government didn't do a thing.
Okay, sir, thank you very much. We'll take a commercial break and be right back. America is drinking it up. Millions of health-conscious homemakers are enjoying the fresh taste and good health of purified water by Puriton for less than 2 cents per gallon. Grab something to write with. I'm going to give you a name and address here and a check amount for your Puriton. I want you to be able to write it down. Now, don't you get tired of drinking tap water? I mean, even the ice cubes doesn't help, you know? You want clear ice cubes for your drinks? Do you feed your pets Miami tap water? Do you know what's going to happen to your kitty cat and your puppy dog if you continue to give them tap water? They will turn over on their backs stiffly. I'm not kidding you. I wouldn't drink Miami water if it was the last water on earth. And I don't want you to. I want you to get a Puritan. Puritan. Now, those of you living in condominiums and townhouses, of course, are familiar with the high cost of bottled water. And how about dragging one of those plastic water containers from the grocery store, huh? From the supermarket? Forget it. You need Puritan. Puritan gives you clean, clear, pure, healthy drinking water for less than 2 cents per gallon. Puritan removes chlorine, chemicals, and other man-made poisons. It destroys residual bacteria. Now, Puritan is so simple to use. When you get it, you just put the filter on the Puritan, hold the filter under the tap, and put a gallon jug maybe underneath the other end of the Puritan, and out comes crystal clear, refreshing water. No installation, no service charge, no plumbing, no electricity. Now, here is how you get your Puritan. You write out a check for $19.95. And by the way, that price has not increased in over 2 years. $19.95. Make your check to Puritan, Puriton, Puriton for $19.95, and then send it to me, Stan Major, WNWS, Miami, Florida 33143. Make a check for $19.95 to Puriton, Puriton. Put it in an envelope and send it to me, Stan Major, WNWS Radio, Miami, Florida 33143. Your little kitty cat or your puppy dog will thank you for it. Okay, on Wednesday afternoon at 2 o'clock, my guest is going to be Richard Covington, who has written the cover story for the new Miami magazine on one of our favorite places in the whole wide world, Turkey Point Nuclear Power Station. Ah, yes, wonderful Turkey Point. Stan Major.
Is this Mr. Major?
Yes, sir.
Well, I want you to know that I agree with your point of view on this refugee problem. I have to tell you that my wife and I came from Cuba 18 years ago, and we felt that we were the ones that had to adapt to this country, and never pretended that this country should adapt to us. Right away, we started to perfect the English we knew, and we became American citizens 11 years ago, for which we are very proud. As for what the mayor, Mr. Ferrer, said, I have to tell you that it's plain demagoguery. That's all I have to say, Mr. Major.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Thank you. I appreciate that. 667-9697 in Miami and 922-9697 in South Broward are available. Hello.
Hello, Mr. Major and Mr. Nice Guy.
Wonderful, ma'am.
I've been left holding the phone for 3 nights after I was connected, and you said good night.
Oh, well, I've been left holding the bag for weeks, ma'am.
I had listened to you ask for help the Afghanistan fund, and I was in the kitchen, and on my envelope I wrote, help the Afghanistan fund, and I put Stan Major. And I felt like a fool because my sister said that's not what you said to put on the outside.
No, that was okay.
I'm from Boca Raton.
Your sister's wrong, ma'am.
Oh.
Okay.
I put it on the check, and I put my address like you said.
Very good.
And not only that, I'm from Boca Raton. I'm a Palm Beach County person, although I lived in Broward for 10 years before moving to Boca. I sometimes agree with you. I know none of you men are bigots. You're only speaking the truth. It's the potato head, the do-nothing in the White House, who sends his little queen bee out to do his dirty work.
Oh, ma'am, don't talk about the president that way now.
I'm sorry. That's how I feel. The people are voting.
You shouldn't talk about Madam President that way.
All right.
She's not the queen bee.
Well, that's what it said. They said she was the queen in the Miami Herald, and I just cracked up. And yesterday's paper. Now, the people that are voting in the primaries can't cross over. And they're not voting for Kennedy. They want Carter to feel that he's going to make it. And in November, they are going to give him the biggest slap that he ever got by voting for Reagan.
Okay.
And I pray God that they do, because I am a diehard Democrat, but this is one time I'm crossing the line.
Okay, ma'am, thank you.
All right, have a good day.
You weren't left holding anything, right?
Right.
Good.
Bye-bye.
Stan Major.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm wondering, listening to your broadcast about Nassau, and from Ragged Island, I'm trying to remember when Nassau and the government decided to declare independence from Britain.
I think somebody said the year 62 or something like that. I'm not sure.
Well, I was wondering if it's possible to get some kind of reaction from Britain, who certainly when they gave them independence, there must have been some provision as to how they would support them or protect them against any, attack from any government. Now we're in a position, because we're so close, 50 miles from Cat Cay and Bimini, and perhaps 75 miles from Nassau. And so naturally we couldn't help but be affected by any attack on those islands from any outside source, never mind Cuba, but anybody who would attack the Bahamas, rather who would attack them. And I can remember my husband was general manager of the Paradise Island Hotel and Villas back in 1972. And and also we date back to 1956 when he was general manager of Cat Cay Island. And there are no people in the entire United world as childlike and beautiful as those people in the Bahamas. They're the most trustworthy people in the world. And to have them attacked, it just hurts me through and through, because they're not, they have no defenses.
Well, let's don't talk about them, because we all feel the same way. We have to address this to the culprit who's behind it all, and that is Castro.
Right.
He's the problem that we've got to deal with.
Right.
Okay?
Uh-huh.
Thank you very much.
Don't hang up quite yet.
Well, I've got a commercial break to do, so say what you want to say, okay?
No, that's not necessary. I'll hang up and listen to you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. She had 2 or 3 minutes to say what she wanted to say, and I thought she'd made her point. We'll take commercial break, and we'll be right back on WNWS, South Miami, 1 minute before 7 o'clock. All right, let's continue with your calls up until Neil Rogers' time at 8 o'clock. Hello?
Hello, Stan?
How are you, ma'am?
Fine. I'd like to say a few things. I like about you staying on the air, even though Miami Herald gave you a ban right up in last Thursday's paper in Channel 10. But I'm glad you still stand up for the right of everyone. We need someone like you in the White House who's got a backbone and a spine made of iron and get all the jellyfish out of the White House.
The Jimmy fish?
The ones...
Oh, the jellyfish. The
jellyfish backbone and spine. Anyone like you...
Don't call the president a jellyfish, ma'am. He's a wimp, but he's not a jellyfish.
He only can do as much as Rosalind lets him do, no more, no less.
Well, isn't that all, like all men?
Yeah.
Don't you treat your husband that way?
No.
I'll bet.
I like to say, I liked your comments about the people in the Bahamas, and we were listening when the ones called in from the Bahamas.
Mm-hmm.
We have been over there, and that is a good idea to go over there and sit on the head leader's doorstep. But over there, they got a brick wall around in Nassau, and they got guards, and they got guns and everything else, but we were over there.
Okay, thank you for your call, ma'am. We have lines available. If you have been trying to get in for a couple of weeks and have found it very difficult, try it tonight for the first time in a long time. Lines available, 667-9697 in Miami. I have one line available in each area of Broward County. If you're north, 427-7979. If you're south, 922-9697. And, of course, Palm Beach just sits there and never rings. The Palm Beach number for the one living, breathing human being up there to call in is 734-9697. Am I going to 2 next, or did I just get off 2? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, you're on the air.
Yes, I'm in the Air Force. I was wondering what kind of reaction has the Pentagon stated on this bombing in the Bahamas.
Haven't heard a thing.
Haven't heard a thing.
The State Department has said something to the effect of, well, we guess it was a fishing incident and that's it.
You mean they let bombers get within 35 miles of our coast and there was no planes there to do anything from Homestead?
Well, I don't know about that. We may have scrambled something, but I don't know.
I'd also like to make a comment about we finally stood up after the Iranian crisis and this one. We finally stood up in San Salvador today when the Marines went in and got our ambassador out from his house. You know.
Yeah.
We need to do something like that more often.
Yep.
And, you know, we got to get the man in the big White House to do something.
Okay.
You know, I think we ought to go down and teach...
What'd you think of the Iranian rescue mission?
I think it should have been done in November, about the 8 hours after it first happened.
Okay. Well, you and I are in complete agreement then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Stan, Major.
Yeah, how you doing?
Okay.
Never have called you before, but you know, there's so many interesting things going on in the world today that it's interesting to throw out things to talk about. There's a couple of things was on the Walter Cronkite show tonight that I want to get to you about. But first, what I wanted to do, I'm beginning to think that this Iranian rescue attempt was never intended to be successful in the first place. I think it went as far as it was supposed to go because it did the best for the man or the men who planned it. In other words, they got the best mileage out of it from any angle that you would want to think. I just want to throw that out for a little thought and discussion, possibly.
Well, I don't agree with you, sir.
Well, you don't have to agree.
Yeah.
I say it's just something to think about. On Cronkite's show tonight, the FBI arrested a hijacker who went to Cuba 10 years ago on a hijacked airliner, which he took control of. And they arrested him when he got back, and the FBI put him into a Cadillac Fleetwood automobile. I'm, you know, sort of surprised that that's sort of a paddy wagon. And the other thing was during the Kennedy hearings on the refugee situation.
By the way, before that slips by, I will tell you that the FBI has been strapped to its limits in the area. Now, I, of course, don't have an opportunity to see Mr. Cronkite because I'm on the air at the same time he is. But I wouldn't judge by the simple fact that they use a limousine to take somebody away that
you know, when you only
anything.
see one FBI automobile in a period of months and months and months on TV taking an alleged criminal into tow and riding...
Yeah, well, that's really important to you, isn't it, fella? Huh? That really is an important
yes,
thing.
If we're out here trying to save money on gasoline...
Yeah, sure. What else do you want to talk about?
Okay, the one final thing. On the Kennedy hearings, the reason on the money, on the situation with the Cuban refugees, is that they have not been allotted because they are not considered refugees. They're considered undocumented aliens. So they can't release any money to the amount that they want because of that particular fund ruling by the Congress.
Are you finished?
Yeah, sure.
Damn right you are. Now, 667-9697 in Miami. I have that available. As I say, the phones are slow tonight for the first time in 2.5, 3 weeks. So you have an excellent opportunity to get in. As I sit here, I see both South Broward lines are empty. So those of you in Broward County, if the phone number works, use it. And if you're in northern Dade County, you can also use the 922-9697 number. Try it one time, and if you don't get a tape intercept, you know that you can use that number if you're near the Broward line in North Miami. Okay? 922-9697. We'll take another commercial break and be right back on W News, Miami.